This is the Loose Pass Rugby Podcast, only on Megafoon Rugby.
Welcome back to the Loose Pass Rugby Podcast. Huw is here to tell us about his adventures at Twickenham with our good friend Danny Jones and how he survived it and if he survived it and how long did you get locked up and what was the bail amount. So welcome back, Huw.
Hello. It appears that I survived. So far, we're on day 4 post-game, and as far as the data I can gather so far, it appears to suggest that I'm still alive, which is at least neutral, if not positive.
Well, nobody's been knocking at your door for posts that you've made or, anything, anybody that's
Not
upset.
quite.
Yeah.
I took a clip from last week's show, me talking about how the number of, if you like, incidents in a South African rugby match is so much lower than other nations' rugby matches, such as having few rucks, few carries, few passes compared to other nations. And I took that clip and I posted it, and some people were like, this is interesting, I think it's because of this, or some people were like, I think Kiwi fans were like, it's because they're cheating, and some South African fans took it as the highest insults that they'd ever heard in their life, and let me know so. But that's okay. Everybody has a right to interpret things as they like. Maybe I titled the clip a little bit provocatively, that's on me. But at the end of the day, the main thing is I've gotten a lot of views out of it.
The point you were trying to make is that Africa wins despite being the lowest on those things. They play less rugby, which means they play cleverer rugby or more clever rugby.
Yes.
Almost. That's the point you were making. Not the fact that they were cheating or not good enough. We are winning. That's the point. And you admire the Springboks. I mean, you were there to watch the Springboks. 90%, I suppose. 10% maybe Argentina. And if you don't agree with me on that, please keep quiet. But that's my point. You actually complimenting South African rugby, but typical South African, we jump on our high horse and we just storm in where angels fear to tread, like bulls in China shops, let's call it that. Yeah, so sorry for that. I know you meant it in a good way. Those little clips of yours do very, very well. And on the subject of clips, like I said, last Saturday you were at Twickenham with Harry, and you have a nice little picture there of you two standing on a balcony comparing yourselves to
It's so funny. It's so
dictators.
funny.
It was so funny. I sent you a picture.
You have to put it in. You have to put it on the screen.
Okay, I'll put it on the screen.
Says he's going to put things on the screen and then doesn't. You have to do it this time.
I will if I remember, but I'll do my best. Okay, so I'll do that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is you and Harry actually asked me about this. Where's all those clips that you were making, Huw Griffin was making of that game? So tell us what you're planning to do with those clips.
Yeah, so as of this Saturday, I've just literally in the last 15 minutes just about finished the first final cuts. Anyway, I've just about finished it. It's going to be a vlog of my experience. It's going to be behind the scenes of the Springboks in London, and brackets how they went back to back again. And yeah, that will be up this Saturday evening. And it will feature Harry. It will feature Tim Cocker from Egg Chasers, which was a very, very pleasant surprise. And of course, it features people such as, you may have heard of him, Siya Kolisi. You may have heard of him, Rassie Erasmus. And yeah, I like it. It's the kind of content that I like doing, and I hope people enjoy watching it.
I remember that one you did to the game you went to, and where Toulon was playing. I mean, it was a fantastic video. You got a sense of the atmosphere, what it was like. Are you doing something similar?
Something very similar to that, yes.
Oh, okay. Are you gonna invite me as a collaborator so my guys can go watch your video on your channel?
Maybe.
You would not have been there if it wasn't for me.
Okay.
Let's call it payback.
Okay.
Okay, we'll talk about Twickenham just now a bit more, but as usual, we need to start with your jersey. And I've been itching to ask, because I can see the Bulls logo peeping up there, and it's a pink one, and you were just saying you had one Bulls shirt. Where did this one come from?
Yes, this is my new Bulls shirt. So, I'm going to be honest with you, and Vera, I don't really like it. I bought it and I'm wearing it. This is a pink Bulls shirt from 2022, the alternate kit. It's made by Puma. I got it off Vinted. I may have been drunk when I got it, because I do sometimes when I'm drunk. Not that I get drunk often, but sometimes when I've had a drink in the evening, I go on to Vinted and I browse things. And if something's like under a certain price point, I just go, and I'll just get it. Like, I can afford that. And then it turns up the next day. And I'm like, what is that? So obviously everybody knows that I love the Blue Bulls. So I got this jersey. And to be honest, it's a little bit of a letdown. there's a few things that I don't really like about it. The fact that it's pink is fine. I've got no problem with it being pink. I wore a pink jersey last week with Stade Francais. Pink is good. But like the pattern on it, can you see the pattern on it? If you turn to the side and to the back, the pattern just disappears. The pattern just stops. So clearly Puma decided, no, people only look at the front, so we don't need to bother putting the pattern all the way around. All of the logos and things on it are just printed on. So it's got no 3D-ness, it's got no tactility, it's got no texture to it. And there's something wrong up. It's a medium, and it is a medium, but it looks like a small. And the reason it looks like a small is because the head hole is absolutely huge. I don't know whether you Praetorians just have big heads.
Lots of brains, man. It's for the horns.
Right. It's for the massive brains. Yeah. But the hole for the head is massive, and the sleeves are really small. So I showed it to a couple of people, and they, without wearing it, and they were like, "Oh, is it a small one?" I'm like, no, it's a medium, but it looks small because it's all out of proportion. So my other special Bulls top from the gift shop at Loftus Versfeld is still my favorite one. I was looking at the blue version of this as well, but it got bought by someone else before I had a chance to buy it. So this is Bulls top number 2, my second favorite Bulls top that I own.
The obvious question that pops in my mind is it a real thing? Is it a genuine Puma, or is it a knockoff?
Yeah, who would knock this off?
Listen, boy, come to South Africa, stand outside Loftus, and you can buy as many knockoffs as you want to.
Maybe it is a knockoff then. I don't know.
I've got a sneaky suspicion it might be.
How do I tell?
Well, look at the logo. Look at the label in your collar at the back.
It's got a Puma. It's got a Puma in this label. www.puma.com.
No, I just got a sneaky suspicion it might not be an original. Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm suitably offended. I'll be honest, I don't like the pink bullshits. Sorry. For an away shirt, I would prefer the white one. I like it, a bit more traditional. The pink one, I think, was about 2012. That was the first time they put out a pink shirt. That was a huge thing, and it was still ugly. So I don't like the pink ones. But happy that you're wearing a Bulls shirt, as always. It's always interesting. Yeah. Almost thought it was a Scarlet's one, but then I saw the Bulls little Bobbit and Daisy popping up there. Listen, we've got something else going that's quite interesting, talking about transfers. And that's an interesting thing and this week as well. I mean, it's suddenly a little bit of flurry at a funny time of the year. Talk to me about the news that you've been hearing.
Well, it's lots of things happening in France. So a lot of players have been signing extensions. So I won't talk too much about them, but one of the big transfer sagas of the summer appears to have reached its conclusion, which is that Tommaso Menoncello, the Italy centre, the Six Nations player of the tournament 2 years ago, I want to say, currently plays for Benetton in the URC, as we know, was expected to sign for Toulon in the top 14 for months now, and to the point where Toulon fans have been tagging him in their posts, and he's been going and liking them. And yet, in the last week, it is broken that he's actually turned down Toulon. He's rejected Toulon and is going to Toulouse instead. Oh. And apparently, the rumours are that he's actually going to Toulouse for less money. Now, I'm not sure if I believe that, or it might be one of those situations where it's less over-the-table money. I can say no more.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's kind of the big one. That also means that Emilien Gaëtan, who's the French centre up and coming, was rumoured to be joining Toulouse. That's now not happening, and he's extended with Pau. So that's one centre in France, and when Menoncello signs for Toulouse, he'll be playing in a centre partnership with Santiago Chocobares of Los Pumas. So that would be a very exciting partnership. Also happening in France, from a South African angle, is that Bayonne have announced the signing of Robert Duprier from Sale Sharks.
Is it Bayonne? Because I saw this morning he's leaving Sale Sharks, but I didn't know where he was going.
Yeah, Bayonne have already announced it. I think Bayonne announced that he was joining before Sale announced that he was leaving, or in and around the same time, which is exciting. Sale Shark fans are gutted. Everyone says that he's a great player. I haven't seen too much of him myself, but Bayonne are a very exciting team. So Bayonne's current centres are Manitou Ilagi, formerly of England, and Sireli Mangala, currently of Fiji, won an Olympic gold medal playing Fiji Sevens. Great player. So he's adding depth there, which makes you think, is one of those going to be on the move? Mangala did want to join Bordeaux a couple of seasons ago, but that never happened for whatever reason. Other South African interest at Bayonne. Formerly, Uzair Kasim used to play for them. He's left last season. Herschel Janschis plays for them now. He signed for them before this season. Peter Schultz, I think, still plays for them, formerly of the Cheetahs, formerly of the Scarlets.
Tipje. Skolts.
Skolts. Oh, yeah, sorry. You tell me every time when I forget. And then I think that's it for South African interest. But the cool thing about Bayonne at the moment is that they're extremely good at home. So if you are ever looking for something to watch late at night and Bayonne are on TV, put it on, especially if they're playing at home, because you'll see a great game. So last week, they beat Toulon 35-32 with a drop goal in the last minutes to win it. And this weekend, just gone, they beat Toulouse at home. They were 15 points. No, they were 5 points down with 15 minutes to go. And then they won 40 points to 26 in the end. There's 3 tries in the last 15 minutes to beat Toulouse. Absolutely thrilling stuff. Best game I've watched this season so far. Club game. So, yes.
On the top 40, we're going to be talking about top 40 a little bit, because for me, it's a bit of a bugbear that South African audiences crowds do not appreciate what the big teams are like. The Bulls are playing Bordeaux. Your Ackerman can't stop talking about it. Bordeaux are the defending champions in the Champions Cup. Like you said, they might not send their strongest team. I suspect they might, because they are the defending champions, but you never know. The point is, the champions of Europe pitch up in South Africa and Pretoria, and 5 people come and watch them because we don't know them. So I want to make a point of it that, with your help, to get people to understand, what these French teams are about. We'll talk about that a bit later. I just want to go back to Robert Dupree. Is he going as a centre or as a fly-off?
Great question. Currently Bayonne have, as their fly halves, Joris Sigons, who is playing absolutely magnificently well. He's French. He played against the All Blacks in the July series.
I remember.
And he's started the season brilliantly. He's playing some fantastic rugby. Also, as a fly half, they have Gareth Anscombe, formerly of Wales and New Zealand under-20s. We don't talk about that. And yes, but they also have another guy whose name escapes me, but they have 3 fly halves, so they're not short on depth at fly half. Like I said, they're also not short on depth at centre, very high quality centres. So it could be that he's going as both, and he's just covering all these positions.
Just to put things into perspective, the Bulls are the only team that have beaten Bayonne now at home in how long? It was last year in the quarterfinal,
since
wasn't it?
March 2024, the Blue Bulls are the only team to win away in Bayonne in any competition.
Yeah, there you go. That just goes to show. Two of the biggest transfer rumors that you haven't mentioned. The first one is Marnus van der Merwe, no longer being on the Stormers shopping list, but might end up at Sharks, might end up at Claremont, and to your utter dismay, might end up at Munster. Talk to us about that one.
Oh yeah, Munster's the one that I couldn't remember when I was trying to tell the people the other day. Yes, honestly, to be with Marnus van der Merwe, he's being linked to that many clubs that makes me think he's not going anywhere, because I've now seen him linked to Saracens, Stormers, Sharks, Claremont, Munster, and probably another one, which to me sounds like it's his agent shopping his CV around, trying to find him somewhere. Of course, with all of the uncertainty about Welsh rugby, a good agent would be hedging their bets of trying to find him a new home. Depending on how that goes, I wouldn't be surprised if the Scarlets' future is secured, then he could be one that we nail down, which we should, because he's one of our best players. Without a doubt, he was absolutely superb for us. He obviously hasn't had a break since the end of the URC season because he's been away with you guys. But you haven't actually played him that much. He's only played 4 games since the end of the last URC. So whilst he's not had a holiday, he's also not played that much rugby. So we're hoping to maybe have him back available for our game against the Stormers this Friday.
Yeah, that's a big thing in South Africa at the moment, because a lot of those players have actually played a lot of rugby, and they're sort of going to be pulled back in immediately amongst some of them, the Bulls. The only Bulls player who's not going overseas is Ruan Orkia. The others just stayed behind. Phil Goulot, Marco van Staden, all those guys are just going to have to slot in seamlessly, and everybody's eyes are on Andre Pollard to see how he slots in, because he hasn't played for the Bulls in 6 years. That's going to be an interesting one.
It is going to be yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I muted myself then. Yes, it is an interesting one. I know that the Stormers guys are all hanging out in the UK. Cobus and Sasha and Damien are all hanging out in the UK, ready to join up with them. I'm not expecting them to play this Friday against the Scarlets. I think that would be a bit fast. But yeah, the Bulls guys, on these players, especially when you consider that the November tour is almost upon us, these guys are going to be up here for the best part of 2 months.
And they're staying behind after the European games, no? And for the Bulls continue the season, or some of them, the Stormers, whatever. The point is, last year they stayed overseas for 9 weeks, some of these Bulls players. It's ridiculous. One last rumor, and I think the biggest one of all of them, Thomas du Toit coming back to the Sharks.
Yes. So again, going back to the French rugby connection, the rumor is that he has turned down big money to play for Bordeaux. Now, Bordeaux, it would have been a fantastic signing for them. Their weakness is the pack. You know, it's pretty amazing that they've been as competitive as they are with the quality of pack that they've got. That's where Toulouse beat them in the top 14 final, was with the superior forward pack. It really is a weakness for Bordeaux, in my opinion. So he would have been an extremely smart signing for them. He's clearly made the decision to come home and play for the Sharks. So obviously the Sharks currently on their books have Trevor Nyakanye and Vincent Koch. So that suggests that one of those two might be on their way, at least. The other thing that I saw someone say was that, it doesn't matter that he's turned down massive money to play for Bordeaux because the cost of living in South Africa is so much lower that it doesn't matter. But you tell me, is that right? Surely you would rather have the euros in the bank.
Yeah, you would, because you can buy a lot of stuff in South Africa with euros. That is true. But that's becoming a thing now, South Africans coming home for family reasons, because you don't have the family support network over there. Andre Polo, one of the reasons he's coming back is because he's got a family now. It's Akker van der Merwe came back because of family. You know, there's a lot of those things happening at the moment. I think that's going to become a factor going forward, something to keep an eye on. Right, let's get back to the Twickenham experience. And I want to hear everything now, because, you know, when I switched over to you and Harry for the immediate game, post-game instant reaction, I said it was the most chaotic instant reaction I've ever done, but also the best. I mean, because you really captured the essence of what it was like being there. Talk to me about your experience. Start wherever you want to. Just tell me everything.
Yeah, so it was very organised. I think credit to the RFU who ran it. It was significantly more organised than my previous media experience at a union that shall remain unnamed. Yes, and then I got there pretty early. So I got there, the doors opened for the journalists at 11 o'clock, and I got there just before 11. And already by the time I got there, the streets were absolutely rammed with South Africans. It looks like it was an hour and a half before kickoff, not 3 hours before kickoff. I've never seen anything like it. And this is 70,000 people attended this game, and thousands of miles away from these nations. I think maybe only Ireland are the only other nation in the world who could just turn up somewhere so far from home and completely take over. And I couldn't believe it. And it wasn't just like a few keen people had turned up. It was thousands of people were there multiple hours early for the game. And they all obviously filed in. It was a little bit harem scarum at times. The bag checking person didn't want to let me in. I showed them my media badge, and they said, well, that doesn't mean anything to me, mate. And I was like, oh, right, okay. But luckily their supervisor came over and said, no, it's fine. He can come in. I was like, phew. But
That was
then,
close.
yeah, to get to the media center, for obvious reasons, they don't signpost the media center really obviously, because otherwise you get, idiots trying to go, I'm going to go and meet Gabby Logan. Gabby Logan is our version of Mott's, by the way. But I didn't know where it was. They obviously assumed that the first time you come with someone who's been before. But I didn't know where it was. So I was just walking around. Eventually, a very, very kind photographer took me to it. And you can only access it via lift. But so what you have to do is you have to go up a few levels, get into the lift, and then come down again. And then go and find it. So it's very secure. Very secure, very good security. And then, I went in, and there was hot food provided, which was very nice. I had some chicken and some potatoes. I think they said it was Argentinian themed food because it was obviously an Argentina home game, technically. So it was very nice. And I was the second journalist. I was the second person with access to the media center to arrive. And I went and I sat in there, and they initially didn't have Australia versus the All Blacks on. We had to ask them to put it on, but they put it on very kindly for us so we could watch that. And then Tim Cocker from Egg Chasers came over. So this was a big thrill for me because obviously everybody knows who he is in this circle. And we've spoken before, and Vera, about how when you go on your YouTube analytics and it shows you your audience also watches Tim Cocker's stuff is always there. And he came over to me and said, "Oh, hi, Huw, nice to meet you." And I was like, "Oh, he knows how does he know who I am?" I was like, "I'm very flattered that you recognize me." And he said, "Yeah, of course I know who you are." So that was really pleasantly surprising. And so, yeah, sat down, had a bit of a chat with him. We had a really nerdy chat I was asking him questions about how he approaches YouTube in terms of thumbnails and titling. And then he showed me this gadget that he's got. It's called DJI Pocket Mini. And it's like a little thing that you hold, and it's got a camera on it, and it swivels, and it's like a gimbal and stuff. It's amazing. So he was showing me that. So we were in there for ages. Harry didn't turn up at all in the media center before the match. He was off hobnobbing with important people, obviously too cool to come into the media center before the game. And then we went up into the gantry, sat along there. The chairs were really cool. So the chairs were on like an arm. It wasn't like a chair on a desk. You have a chair and a desk. And it was labeled, as we showed the people on social media.
That was so good. I love that.
Huw Griffin, Megafoon
well.
Rugby. Yeah. And the chair is attached to the wall via an arm, and it swings. And then it rotates on the end as well. So it's like being on one of those teacup rides at the fair. Because you like that all the time. Like, whee! Going all around. And then I met loads of people. I met Angus Usher, who you've had on this show. I was thrilled to meet him in person. I've had him on my show as well. I met a couple of extra people from different outlets who were all really nice. I'm sorry, I can't name you all, but you were all extremely friendly. All the South African guys were extremely friendly. Obviously, Tim. I met Mott's, which I was very excited. She came over. Obviously, she was with Harry. And she came and like, "Hi, I'm Motson," and she introduced herself to me, and I said, "Yeah, I know who you are." And then got to watch the game, and it's obviously great seats, right around halfway at a perfect level, probably the best seats I've ever had at any rugby match, and just a generally extremely good experience. And then after the game, went down back into the media center, sat on the front row for the press conference in front of Razzie, in front of Siya. When people tell you that Siya lights up a room, they're not exaggerating. The guy actually glows. Like, he actually, light comes out of him. It's amazing. And what struck me about Razzie and Siya, apart from what they said, was that they were very good at whatever question they got asked, talking about what they wanted to talk about. So Siya started talking about the Springboks and what it means to him and what it means to the country of South Africa and things. He wasn't asked that. I think he was just asked how the game went, but he very quickly diverted it to talking about that and to talking about the fans and things. So that was good. And then at the end, Siya comes down from like the lectern, goes to the end and shakes every media person's hand in the room. And he doesn't have to do that. And so he comes and he shakes my hand. And I'm like, "Well done, Siya."
Starstruck.
And I messaged someone like, "I just shook Siya Kolisi's hand." And she replied to me, she said, "You can never wash. You can never wash that hand." So that was good. And then Contemponi came in. With Julian Montoya. And they were mostly asked questions by Argentinian journalists. It was mostly in Spanish. I was the only person who asked an English language question. But I asked Contemponi the first question. So I had a really, what I thought, clever question to ask him. But then because I went first, you kind of have to ask, "How was that game for you?" You know, that kind of a question. So I did that. So I had the microphone. And I was like, how did you think that game went? And he he gave a very good answer, to be fair to him, a very honest answer. And the thing he said towards the end of his answer was, maybe he said, if other uncontrollables had gone differently, it might have been a different game. And I think that is referring to the referee. And in Razzie's press conference, he said that if he was Felipe Contepomi, he would be very annoyed that Kane and Moody didn't get a second yellow card. So I think that's probably what Contepomi was referring to.
That's so interesting, man. You also met Matt Pierce, by the way, good friend of ours here on this channel.
I didn't meet him, but I saw him.
You saw him. Tim Cocker is going to be on this show, I think, next week and the week after Mott's. So, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, brilliant! Yeah. I'll look forward to that.
So, what was the next question I was going to ask you, Harry? First time you met him in person. In South Africa, he went on Alice Park. He went walkabout on the beach, but such a character now. What did you think of meeting him in person?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, it was great to meet Harry. He's been such an influence on my YouTube journey so far, and sitting next to him for a game, he's quite tense. It's cool watching him do those drawings in real time. I had a lady sat next to me, and she was like, "Oh, that's really cool." So if you want to impress girls, kids, learn to draw. And he's quite an intense watcher. He's not like sitting back stroking his beard thinking, oh, that set move was interesting with the second pass to the blocked runner. He's very
involved,
into it. Yes, which is great, which is the whole point of being a fan. So he's definitely preserved the being a fan side of it, which is great. And he knows everybody. So that's cool as well.
Well, on that subject, you talking about the way he watches a game, and you talked to me about the way you watch a game. You're far more statistic-driven, things that you worked out in your mind before, and then you see it happen on the field, and Harry tells you this is going to happen, and you were surprised that it does. Talk about the way you watch a rugby match, live especially.
I don't really know, because I don't think about it while I'm doing it. I pay a lot of attention to where teams are on the pitch and what they're doing. So if for example, in the Bledisloe game that was on earlier, I was going mad because Australia were on the halfway line just doing 1 meter forward carries. And I was like, guys, you're not going to win the rugby match by doing this. Stop doing it now, please. So I pay a lot of attention to where teams are on the pitch and what they do when they're in those circumstances. I pay attention to how often they go into the opposition 22 and how often they turn those visits into points. What was cool about this game was that I had a referee earpiece, which they provided for the media. Not everybody took it. It had 2 channels. It had one which was radio commentary and one which was the referee. What was interesting about that is Andrea Piardi does not talk during the games. Only when he's making decisions does he speak. You see other referees really coach the players to, no, don't go there, roll away, let him go, don't do that. No, you're holding him in. Piardi doesn't do any of that. He doesn't talk very much, which he doesn't have to. You're allowed. There's nothing that says you have to coach the players throughout a game. But I would say that Piardi is a very extreme example of not doing that, which is a thing unique to him. It's not bad. It's just something about him. Another thing that I like is clean, and I don't know if I'd call it set moves, but I like a clean, fast line out. I like a clean exit, things like that. Things where it's clearly rehearsed. It's clearly like steps in a dance, like 1, 2, 3, 4, these moves, and then that happens. I appreciate that. I also appreciate a player making a key intervention, which is normally a tackle. I don't cheer every tackle, but if there's like an overlap or it was a 3-on-2, and a player makes a decision to step in and really target the guy and gets man and ball, I really appreciate that as well. So I will probably remark on that out loud. So that's pretty much that's how I watch a rugby match. Obviously, if it was my teams playing, if it was Wales, if it was the Scarlets, I would be quite different. I would be much more agitated. I would be much more up on my feet cheering. I would probably be angrier at the referee, but that's being a fan.
Same with me. when I watch a game, the Bulls or the Springboks for that matter, I get so worked up, and often I have to work there. I mean, we do Afrikaans commentary or something, and I forget about it. That's because I get so caught up into it. Anyway, two more questions about Twickenham. The first one, you mentioned an interesting thing to me when we talked to each other after that, with that instant reaction. You said this is probably a once in a lifetime experience of you being able to watch a rugby championship match. Because normally it's in the Southern Hemisphere and there's a lot of travel, blah, blah, blah. It's such a unique occasion to be able to be there as well. Special.
Definitely. I don't think I would have in any other way gotten to see a rugby championship match. The very fortunate so I've got to thank you again to be able to get media access, because I don't think I could have afforded a ticket. I mean, I could have, but I don't know if I could have justified the outlay for a ticket, particularly not on that good of a seat. And the experience would have been nowhere near as good, because the seats were so good and the media experience was so positive. And yeah, so to get to see it, to get to see the Springboks lift the trophy, to be literally stood above them. So where they lifted the trophy was right underneath the gantry, where the kind of balcony where the media were. So I was literally above it, looking down on them when they lifted it. And so I can say that I've seen that now. All these things that I can say that I've done, because I've done this. I've never seen the All Blacks. So that's the next kind of life thing in rugby, is I want to see the All Blacks, and I want to see, I want to see Antoine Dupont play for France. Those are kind of the two big ones. And yeah, so if this was played down, if this was played not in the UK, I would not have gotten to see it. I can't afford to fly to Argentina or South Africa or New Zealand or Australia to take in a game. So, and of course, the major thing of the Rugby Championship might never happen again.
Yeah, true.
So if I was there for the last ever Rugby Championship game, watching this Rassie Erasmus's Springboks lift back-to-back trophies, that's something that I can say that I've done. Talk about a story that you tell your grandchildren.
Yeah, I know. It's special. Like the first time I went to Ellis Park last year, that test against the All Blacks. I've never been there, believe it or not. And I'll never forget it. It was one of the best experiences of my life. I was so scared to go there because of all the supposed crime and it's so dangerous. And you get in there and you just forget it. I've never been in a stadium like that. It's incredible. If we by hook or by crook managed to organize you media accreditation for the game against France, Springboks against France, it's not in the UK. What do you think?
I would say unrealistic.
In terms of being able to go?
In terms of being able to get to Paris, yes.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, I sent you the link for Italy today, but you just discarded it. I mean, geez.
I'm not flying to Italy, no.
I'm kidding. All right,
Which I know is the same, by the way. I know this is the same as you, like, flying from Cape Town to Pretoria is like the same as me flying from England to Italy. But we have a different perspective on these things.
How long is it from England to Italy? How many hours?
2 or 3.
It's 2 hours to Cape Town. True. I get it. All right. Durban is like 45 minutes. You just basically take off and then you land again. It's a funny thing. And try and drive, it takes you 6.5 hours. Anyway.
Did you hear what happened to the Scarlets this week?
I heard they were stuck on the plane for 5 hours and people complained
11 hours.
Was it 11?
Yeah.
Tell me the story.
So England to Ireland is a half an hour, 45-minute flight. Because of the storm, we've got a storm going up here called Storm Amy. And so they took off and they tried to land in Dublin twice, but couldn't because of the weather. So they had to turn back, come back to Manchester, land in Manchester to refuel. And then there was loads of shenanigans on the plane. Like, I think the emergency services had to be called because people were getting into different kind of issues. And then the flight crew had to be changed because they exceeded their hours. And then whilst the Scarlets players were still sat on the plane, the game was cancelled because they hadn't arrived in Dublin in time. They were playing in Galway. The weather in Galway was not the issue. The game was not called off because it was raining in Galway. The game was called off because of the Scarlets' flight. And it was 11 hours they were stuck on there. And kind of the most galling thing is Cardiff played Munster on the same day and their travel was fine. So don't know what's happened there.
Yeah, I see a lot of people were blaming Scarlets for leaving the plane eventually, and then the flight got cancelled and people got dumped at the airport at 1 o'clock in the morning. But it's not Scarlets' fault. It's the airline's fault if anybody was to blame, wasn't it?
It's not like the plane was at the end of the runway about to take off and
the
Scarlets players all stood up and went, actually, we're getting off. No, they tried to land in Dublin twice. They'd been on the plane for 11 hours. So it's not like they didn't try to go to Dublin.
No, that's the best.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the after party. And I don't want to use the word after party, but afterwards. I know you drove Harry somewhere, and he told me someone came up and hugged you because they were so happy to see you, Huw Griffin.
I don't remember that bit. I don't remember that bit. Yes, we arrived at London Welsh for the braai, and there wasn't actually a braai. That was kind of the thing. I was expecting to eat grilled meat, and there wasn't any. There was biltong, though. There was a biltong thing that I could have gone to, but the queue for this biltong place, it didn't move for the whole thing that I was there. There was like 50 people in this queue the whole time.
Waiting for the
that I
biltong
was
to
there.
dry, man. Biltong needs to dry. Takes several months. That's why the queue wasn't moving.
Okay, but I got a beer, and there was loads of people around. It was so cool. Again, it's such, I don't know where else what other country could do a thing like this and make it happen. And yeah, the just seeing all these people in their Springbok shirts, we got into a conversation about how all these people dressed in South Africa kind of costumes, and if you were in the same place and you saw a load of people wearing England costumes, it would have very different connotations, and you'd be a bit like, "Ooh, I think we should leave this place." But with the South Africans, it was just them celebrating being South African. And yeah, I was only there for an hour or so. Me and Harry spoke a lot about all different things in rugby. And yeah, then I had to leave. I drove Harry from Twickenham to London Welsh for the thing. And yeah, it was like a 15-minute drive. So it's cool.
Yeah, like I said, one of those days you'll never forget. And thanks for going. And I tell you what, it was the most heartwarming thing for me sitting in Pretoria, seeing you guys having so much fun, seeing that little label you sent me, Huw Griffin, Megafoon Rugby, Harry Jones, Lekker Rugby Pod. And you both were there. I mean, for me, from this side, it was also special. Anyway, we've talked a lot about what happened now. Let's talk about the URC quickly. The game itself has been talked to death now, so we're not going to do that. What I want to do is talk about the URC a little bit, and also the Springboks coming back into the URC teams as well. You know, being an honorary South African, which I can safely say. What do you think is going to happen? The Bulls, 71 points, leaked at home against Leinster's B team. Was it C team? I'm not sure.
No, it was. I think it was Leinster's A.5 team.
Or B.5. Wasn't the full A team.
No, but it had Irish internationals in there.
Sure, yeah. But I mean not all of them. Where's Porter? Where's
it was a strong Leinster team. Take my word for it. It was a strong Leinster team.
I saw Sam Prendergast at one of the shopping malls. I was having a beer with somebody. And he walks exactly like that in real life as well. Just awkward, gangly style of his. It was so funny. And a lot of
what was he buying?
They were walking past the restaurant with a couple of the other Leinster guys. And I think there were some Irish tourists sitting there at the restaurant. And they were cheering him and he was blushing. And it was actually quite funny. He looks like a little boy. Honestly, he does. And it's not an insult. He just looks very, very young. If you look at him, see him not on the rugby field, he looks so young. Anyway, that was quite an interesting experience. But just in terms of the first rounds of the URC, what are the Irish teams looking like? What are the Welsh looking like? Let's give me your impressions of the tournament, the start of the tournament.
It's interesting with the Bulls. This whole concede loads of points but still win thing. It started under Jake, and it doesn't seem like Johan Ackerman is going to fix it. Yes, we've only had 2 rounds, but it's just who the Bulls are. It's just who we are, mate. This is just. We get 3 scores up in the first half, concede 3 scores in the second half, and then win just about. It's just how the Bulls go.
Sorry, I can't agree with that. I did my homework. I went to speak to a couple of people, and that's not true. They tried to fix it. The problem is the players are not keeping to the structures. And the person that I spoke to, the steam was coming out of his ears, quite literally. Because they were not doing what they were told to do. They were going outside of what the plans were. So that's not the Bulls' plan. It just happened to work out like that they scored more tries. But I think it was luck more than anything. Yes, they were skillful. They managed to score the tries. Everybody could have just as easily gone the other way. That's what I'm getting at. That is not the Bulls' way of playing. Sorry, you.
Okay, no, it's good. I'm glad to be corrected. So what's the Stormers' way of playing? Because the Stormers are also 2 from 2 bonus point victories for the first 2 games at home. But I'm just not seeing the process with the Stormers. I got called out the other day for like Stormers slander, and even though I'm sat here wearing a Blue Bulls top, I really like the Stormers, and I really like a lot of their players, and I've said that many times. So when I criticise them, it's coming from a place of wanting them to be good, and there's so many mistakes, and yes, they're winning. I know they're winning
for now.
but I'm not seeing them going through repeatable processes on the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
And I just want to check. I don't think they've got a bonus point. They got a bonus point in the second game.
Oh, okay.
The Bulls got 2, so the Bulls are top of the log, 10 points. The Stormers are 9. Yeah, they didn't get a bonus point the second game. Just wanted to check on that before we get corrected.
Okay.
For being ignorant, remember.
Yeah.
How's your IQ doing?
It's on the floor, mate. Oh, absolutely on the floor.
Sure. Same as I mean, that's going to be a very bad podcast. Right, talk about the other, your teams, the Scarlets and the likes.
Scarlets only played one game because the last one got cancelled. We lost it to the Munster. Cardiff is still Cardiff, by which I mean they play incredible, sexy attacking rugby. They score some brilliant tries. They're getting try bonus points. They're getting losing bonus points. They're missing all of their kicks at goal. They're scaring big teams, but ultimately not winning many games, which is all of the Cardiff. That's Cardiff. That's what they do. Ooh, South African connection. Tinas Tabea is getting a bit of stick from Dragons fans this week for not taking a drop goal against the Sharks. Did you see this?
No.
Yeah, they were on the 17 all. They were on the Sharks line in overtime. Didn't take the drop goal and drew the game. Yeah, horrible weather.
He came over from Cardiff, last season.
Sorry?
Tinas came over from Cardiff.
Yeah, came over from Cardiff. I'll tell you something that's kind of funny, kind of not, that happened in this game. So they signed this new Tongan centre called Paea. He's massive, and he was playing really well for them. And then he got this kind of innocuous knock, and it looks like he's really badly injured his arm. So he got this knock, and he injured his arm, and he's obviously this like massive Tongan bloke. So when when he looks in pain, you know that it's bad. So he starts wandering back, like kind of away from the action to try and get away from play to get medical treatment. Meanwhile, the Sharks kick the ball downfield, and it's fielded by Dragons fullback Angus O'Brien, who catches the ball and with no one around him in the absolute peeing down rain and thinks, I know, I'm going to run this back. And does. And then starts running back, sidesteps nobody, and in the terrible weather slips over. And then in slipping over, he slides along the ground and slides tackles the broken-armed Paea, who was trying to get away from all of the action. Paea goes down and lands on the arm that he's injured.
Oh, my word. Sorry, I should laugh at that. It's actually
Riyad Lowe clipped it off and put it on social media and just went, I'm going to bed. I'm not watching this anymore.
Well, that's what I felt like with the Bulls against Leinster. It was 31-27 or something. And I thought the Bulls were going to lose this one at Loftus. And I said, I'm going to bed. And then the guys in our little WhatsApp group started saying, yes, watch the score. So they managed to pull that one out of the fire. Talking about the Bulls, Ulster and Connacht coming up. Connacht now, Stuart Lancaster. Johan talked about Stuart Lancaster. He's got so much respect for him as a coach now taking over in Connacht. What are you expecting from those two games? Ulster and Connacht.
So Ulster are South African interest because they've got Trock. He plays for them.
Oh yeah, coming from Northampton.
They beat Dragons quite comfortably in their first game. They didn't play their second game against Edinburgh. That was called off for the weather as well. And so we're waiting to see. Ulster have got a big team, a deceptively big team. They've also signed Angus Bell from the Wallabies. Well, he did obviously from his club side, but they signed Angus Bell, the Wallaby, as well. So kind of got hopes for Ulster to be stronger this season than they were last season. They've got big players, like especially in their backline, like Stuart McCluskey, Jacob Stockdale. And then the guy you have to watch out for is actually the not big guy. Is their fullback, Mike Lowry. Tiny little guy, wears a red scrum cap. He's got absolutely electric magic feet. He can beat you in a phone box. Yeah, he's a lekker back. Exactly. He's an Irish lekker back. Although he might be New Zealander. But anyway, he's a lekker back. If he's not from New Zealand and he is Irish, don't tell me in the comments. I'm not that interested, right? He plays for Ulster. Right, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Connacht?
The Connacht is all about Stuart Lancaster. So they haven't changed that much from last season in terms of personnel. but the coaches is what's changed. And Stuart Lancaster is one of he appears to be living on past glories that never happened. So he's got a reputation despite never having really done anything. He was an assistant coach for Leinster for a while, and that seems to be where most of his reputation has come from. He went into the England job. He was England head coach, and people liked him, but he ultimately failed in that role, and he was replaced by Eddie Jones. He then was an assistant coach to Leinster, and they won a few trophies, but I think he was still there when they were losing in Champions Cup finals. And then he I don't know if he was replaced by Jacques, but he never overlapped with Jacques. And then he went to Racing and completely failed there. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. That was a disaster. And there were stories of, and he told this story of, he wanted to line the players up in a row in salary order and then ask them, do you think you deserve to be stood where you are?
What? At Racing?
At Racing, yes.
Sure. Well, I've
How
got
to lose
look at-
friends and alienate people.
He was a shoe-in. He was assured he's got the Australian job, replacing Eddie Jones. And
Really?
no, I'm lying, replacing Joe Schmidt. And it didn't pan out. I've got this on very, very good authority, by the way.
Well, he interviewed badly.
I don't know what happened. He was told he's got the job, and next thing he heard, he didn't get the job. And I got
Well,
a phone
he-
call
he-
from a coach telling me that story. The same thing happened to him. Make your own deductions.
Ah, interesting. And they've gone for Les Case in the end.
Really.
So yeah, the thing about Stuart Lancaster is he tends to chuck himself under the bus in interviews. Like after he left Racing, he was like, God, it's really hard, you know, everybody speaks French. You're like, yeah, they do. What did you think it was going to be like, you idiots? So yeah, maybe I'm being a bit unfair to him. Maybe I've taken some quotes out of context there and things, but it basically went badly. Is long story short.
Right, you, before we finish off the URC, we have to have your 3 games that we must watch this weekend. It doesn't have to be South African teams now, make no mistake. So, but do your trademark delivery. I love this.
It just so happens that they are South African team. But here we go. 3 URC matches that you must watch this weekend. Number 1, Scarlets versus the Stormers. Does this need any more explanation? Because the Scarlets are playing and you should always watch them. But also the Stormers are all right as well. So this is being played on Friday nights at 7:45 local time at Parky Scarlets in Llanelli. Scarlets lost their first game against Munster, and Munster play in Adidas kits, and now they're playing another Adidas team in the Stormers. The Stormers are 2 from 2, having won their opening games in Cape Town against the Ospreys and Leinster. So Scarlets are a game behind, having had last round cancelled.
So we're stuck playing for 11 hours.
Yeah, stuck on a plane for 11 hours. So the Stormers don't necessarily tour great. So the Stormers have played in Parky Scarlets twice and won twice. Last season was probably the Scarlets' worst performance of the season. The first time they played each other in Parky Scarlets was a very close game. Very close game. The Scarlets are looking to hopefully get a couple of players back from injury, maybe even possibly a returning Marnus van der Merwe. And then from the Stormers' point of view, we're waiting to see if they integrate any Springboks. So we're told that Sasha, Damien Willemse, and Cobus Reinach have all stayed in the UK ready to meet up with the Stormers. Whether they'll feature in this game or not, maybe seems a bit soon, but we'll wait and see. In terms of what I think is going to happen, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it could be quite an error-strewn game. But if the weather is bad, I can see the Stormers going, this is not why we started playing rugby. And then the boys from West Wales will go, this is exactly why we started playing rugby. Yeah. And the Scarlets will win. So Scarlets by 2. Next game, Leinster versus Sharks. Someone's must go. Both teams winless to start this URC season. Look, the Sharks are not good Northern tourists. They don't do very well when they go on these Northern tours. Whereas Leinster obviously picked up 2 hidings down in South Africa to open the season. So Leinster have now lost as many games this season as they lost all of last season. And we're only 2 games in. I expect that will come to an end this weekend. I expect that Leinster shall beat the Sharks. I don't know if any Springbok Sharks will be making their appearances. Obviously, you know, Siya, Eben, players like that are all available. I think realistically, Andre Esterhazen, if you're lucky, Bongi Umbanambi hasn't played that much, so he could play. But the rumours are that Leinster are going to be going strong and they're going to be bringing back their Lions players for this game. James Lowe has been doing loads of interviews, put it that way. So I expect that Leinster will go strong. I expect they'll want to make a statement to say, no, we are still the league champions. And I should expect that they'll win this game quite comfortably. And then finally, on Saturday night, we have Ulster versus Bulls. So Ulster also had their last game rained off. Bulls, out of the South African teams, are probably the strongest tourists. They beat Munster and Glasgow away from home last season, which was very impressive. Now, we're told that a lot of big names are going to be staying in South Africa, but you never know, we might get more names join up with them. So Andre Pollard, will he make an appearance? Let's wait and see. Ulster have a point to prove. They brought in some good players. So Trocky, South African interest, plays for them as well. They've signed Angus Bell from the Wallabies. So they've got a point to prove that they are back this season in terms of being playoff contenders, having missed out on the top half of the table for the first time ever last season. Whereas Bulls are looking to say, hey, no, we are the finalists for this tournament more years than not. We are the big team. So it's probably the hardest one to call out of all the games that I've mentioned so far. I'm going to just go on the side of Ulster, but I think the Bulls are going to make a real game of it. So I think this will be the most competitive match of the weekend. That's on Saturday evening.
That game ends so late that the Bulls let us know today there won't be a press conference after the game because it'll be so late in South Africa. They're going to have it Sunday afternoon at 2:00 because nobody's going to be there to attend it. Just as a matter of interest, the only Springbok not staying behind basically is going to be Ruan Orkia, who gets a bit of a break. Everybody else is staying behind. All the Springboks. And Marcel Coetzee is not coming because he's suffering from a concussion, so he's not coming. But the rest of the team, full strength. I'm very interested to see how they integrate. I spoke to Johan Ackerman. I asked him how much time did he spend with the Springboks since he's joined the Bulls. He said he spent, I think he said half an hour meeting with them when they were coming back from New Zealand on the way to England, or the next test, I mean. So he spent very, very little time with them. That integration is going to be so tricky. I'm interested to see what happens. Listen, we've spent so much time talking about Twickenham. I think we'll leave the top 14 and everything else for next week. But the one thing I can't leave for next week is this week's hospital pass. And I know you've been sitting here on 10 weeks waiting for this, ball and all. I want to ask you what you think of the Rugby 360.
Oh, for goodness sake. Okay. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that the people behind it have the wherewithal to make it happen. This is purely my opinion. There's obviously significant force coming out behind it. Everyone will be lobbying everybody to make sure that it doesn't happen. The political might of World Rugby will be turned against it.
That's already done yesterday with that announcement, that statement.
Yeah, and there's some stupid ass things in it. Like they said that, like it's going to launch in 2027 now, and they've said that, well, the first season will be in 2027, and they've said that players will be available for tests like international duty, but they said that it's going to play from March to September. 2027 is a World Cup year. All of the big players are going to be in World Cup preparation camps. They're not going to be available to play from March to September for these new club sides, whatever they look like. Their stuff for the women's game is just mental. They've said that they're going to start off with 4 teams, which is not enough. 4 teams does not make a competition. See Rugby Championship. And they've said like their timing for their competition clashes with the Women's Six Nations, Pac 4, and whatever the future of WXV is going to be. It's completely in clash. Like it's at the same time, people. So there's massive details that they've just like overlooked completely. Like, oh, didn't realize it's so English. It's so English that they I didn't think about anybody else. Like it's got so many flaws. The only thing is that the thing that seems to lend it any kind of credibility is that apparently it will all be registered under the UAE Rugby Union. And it is pretty much well known that the UAE wants rugby, as in wants to become a thing in rugby. They already have hosted women's rugby tournaments in the UAE. We think they tried to get the final of this new Nations League thing. And there's been rumours about the Middle East getting into rugby for ages and ages and ages. So that makes me kind of think that it might happen, but it's just so riddled with holes. And like when World Rugby, an organisation who has its critics, comes out and publicly says, we are concerned by some of the things that you have presented to us, then you know it's bad. So, yeah.
I see the first edition will be in October 2026, which will conflict with the newly launched Global WXV series, and the subsequent editions planned in April and August 2027 would clash with the build-up to the Men's Rugby World Cup in Australia. I mean, really, how stupid is that? The money must be very good, though. I mean, you play far less, you play in different cities, you play in a made-up team, and you earn mega bucks. Maybe players towards the end of the career who can't now go play tests. That's what the statement was about yesterday. The test unions all saying basically that, or most of them saying that if you play for Rugby 360, you can't play for your country. That'll be a death knell for younger players.
And they've said apart from Wales, who probably hope they take over running their academies, they've said that they expect to be profitable by year 2 or year 3. And like everybody in rugby is going, how are you going to do that? Because none of us are profitable. So how are you going to be profitable? So, yeah, load of nonsense, really.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate your candid and unexpected, unprepared remarks to my hospital passes. So thanks you. Thanks, man. As usual, that was an awesome one. I appreciate it.
This is the Loose Pass Rugby Podcast, only on Megafoon Rugby.